Hey there, West Michigan Meteorologist Will Haenni here. It is Sunday night at 9:19 p.m., November 23rd. Hopefully everyone enjoyed today's beautiful weather. Going to give this just a few seconds and let some folks join in here, and then we will get the convo started. There is a lot going on in the forecast, not so much the next 24 hours or so, but really beyond that. We have a lot to touch on. I could spend a long time on here, and I will. But hopefully not too long where I start to lose folks. But give me just a second. I'm going to share this to my page, and then we will start talking through the forecast, which includes some rain, some crashing temperatures, some wind, and eventually some snow in two different sort of varieties, which we'll touch on momentarily. All right, so I'm going to share this, and we'll get things going. All right. So I'll begin by saying I'm a little tired. I'm a little slightly sleep deprived. I have a newborn at home, and I'm definitely starting to feel it on these late nights, but in a good way. It's a reminder that I have an infant at home. But let's make this a little bigger, shall we? Not what I was trying to do. There we go. All right. So right now, things are quiet. It's a continuation of what we had a little earlier in the day. Love this live eye look over Grand Rapids. Just kind of fun to look at the skyline. And this is looking south over the Grand River. Always lit up nicely. And temperatures a little colder right now than they were 24 hours ago, but nothing too earth-shattering. It's 39 in GR. That's actually one of the warmer spots. It's 36 in Kalamazoo. All right. So tomorrow, Monday, is the nicest day of the week. And it's not even as nice as today was, arguably. But it's going to still be much nicer compared to the weather that's on the way, which we'll obviously jump into in just a second. But first, just in case you're planning your day tomorrow, temperatures starting off around 30 degrees or so early. We'll warm into the low 50s again. But the theme is we're clouding over throughout the day. So we won't see the wall-to-wall sun that we saw today, but it will stay dry all day long. It's not until very late Monday night that we see the chance of some rain returning to the forecast. So let me show you a few things. I am going to click into this, and hopefully this works. Hold on one second, everybody. Let me make a couple of quick adjustments on the fly. So this is hour by hour for tonight. I'm going to kind of slowly crawl this forward, so it's a little glitchy there. But we're going to go throughout the day tomorrow. There's the cloud cover moving in, as I was mentioning. This is ahead of a disturbance that is going to move through to our south Monday night into Tuesday. But yeah, temperature-wise, tomorrow shouldn't be too shabby, at least upper 40s. I still think we'll make it into the low 50s, though. I'm going to continue to crawl this forward a little bit, and you're going to start to see some green starting to pop up on the map, mainly after midnight through early Tuesday. Basically, our atmosphere is starting to get a little bit more saturated. With that system farther south, it spreads in some rain, mainly early Tuesday morning, but you can see it's not necessarily a widespread heavy rain by any means. It's just going to be kind of a dreary day on Tuesday with some rain, mainly in the morning. And this is going to be pretty light. You can see maybe a few scattered showers holding on into the afternoon and kind of lifting farther north into Tuesday night. Then there's going to be a secondary low pressure system. Now we're zooming ahead into Wednesday, and we're going to talk in more detail about all this in a second. But by Wednesday morning, watch what happens. I'm going to go back in time, just a quick. We're going to go back to like 7 a.m. Oh my gosh, why won't it let me pick right on 7? Okay, so there's 7 a.m. Wednesday. Temperatures in the upper 30s, low 40s. Maybe a few showers around. Quickly, though, those temperatures are going to actually fall during the day on Wednesday. So as we go into even as early as about 9:30 in the morning, you're going to start to see those temperatures falling Wednesday. And then that's going to promote a switch over to some wet snowflakes into Wednesday afternoon. So by Wednesday at noon, it's looking like some scattered snowflakes are out there. I don't think we'll see much in the way of impacts, though, until possibly late Wednesday afternoon, evening, because initially you can see these surface temperatures are above freezing. I don't expect this to be super intense snowfall right off the bat, but enough with those crashing temperatures and a lot of wind where we might start to see some travel impacts by late in the day Wednesday, but more specifically Wednesday evening. So that's the last day of work for some of you that have the traditional Thursday, Friday off. So just kind of keep that in mind just in case things start to deteriorate Wednesday late in the day. But overall, I don't think this is going to be a major event in the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday timeframe. I just think the timing is not ideal, just given the holiday and a lot going on. But we'll get back to that in just a second. Here's kind of in bullet point fashion. So Tuesday, again, some rain moves in, steadiest in the morning. Wednesday, crashing temperatures, rain to snow, and it will be pretty windy that day too, which is arguably the bigger story on Wednesday, even more so than the fact we'll have like that rain switching over to some wet snow. I think is the wind. The gusts could get easily over 40 to 45 miles an hour. And then for Thanksgiving, lake effect is on the table, including the turkey, and it will also still be pretty windy. So wind chills are probably going to be in like the lower 20s, and it's going to feel cold. As far as probabilities for some of this precip, it's all rain on Tuesday. It's that rain to snow mix on Wednesday, but snow will quickly take over into the afternoon. Thursday, that is a 60%. I got to adjust that graphic a little bit. 60% chance of the lake effect, and then a stray shower, snow shower may hold into Friday morning as well. So we talked about the snow on Wednesday, how I would say as early as about 10, 11 in the morning, we should see some wet snow. I don't expect it to be, like I said, a super intense snowfall right off the bat. I think it'll be just kind of a steady light to moderate snow, not really sticking much until potentially Wednesday late evening. And specifically, I would say after dark Wednesday, once we lose some of that daylight, temperatures start to come down a little bit, then it might start to stick. So like I was saying, the bigger story, in my opinion, Wednesday is going to be the wind, which everyone will feel. Some gusts upwards of 40 to 45 are looking pretty likely. There could even be some lakeshore gusts. We're talking immediate lakeshore over 50 miles an hour. You know, if we start to see that snow sticking to whatever leaves are left on the trees, that could cause at the very least some isolated outages when you start talking the 40 to 45 and especially 50 mile per hour plus range. So that's something else we'll have to watch for on Wednesday. Certainly not hoping for that, but just something we got to be on guard for. Hello, Vicky, by the way. Hello, Susan. Jerry, what's up? Jesse, hello, my friend. Jennifer in Kalamazoo. Jeanette, is anyone else having trouble getting onto Facebook Live at 9? Jeanette, I was late tonight. So if you were trying to tune in at 9, that is my bad. I was dealing with some technical difficulties behind the scenes. So my apologies there. If you were trying to like find it, I didn't get on until like 9:20. So nothing is bad on your end if you're in the room now. Jesse, how bad for the farm Wednesday? We're looking at it, Jesse. Probably 40 to 45 mile per hour wind gusts, rain switching to some wet snow, and then possibly some light accums by late Wednesday into Thursday. Speaking of which, let's talk about that. So that wait for it. Okay. That cold front Wednesday happens in the morning. So you can start to see that colder air really starts to spill in Wednesday into Wednesday night, and it really overtakes the region. Some of those purple colors you see there, not to get specific, but that purplish shading I have on there is kind of an indication of air that is certainly cold enough this time of year to foster an environment for lake effect snow. It's all about that difference between air temperature a few thousand feet up and the lake surface temperatures. So lake surface temperatures right now are about 50 degrees in the deep part of Lake Michigan, like the mid-lake portion. The air a few thousand feet aloft is going to be like maybe 15 to 20 degrees Celsius colder than the lake surface temperature. So that generates lots of rising motion in the atmosphere. That's what drives all of this lake effect snow. It is a Great Lakes phenomenon. But these are the general regions on Thanksgiving that are going to be seeing probably some lake effect snow. So it's not just us, northern Michigan, if you're traveling farther north. In fact, farther north, like in the Traverse City area, northern Michigan, UP, they could even have a little bit more intense snow than we do. So that's just worth mentioning. But overall, on Thanksgiving, I think the lake effect machine will be going in a northwesterly flow. Both of our primary medium long-range models, the GFS and the European, both are showing at the very least an inch or two of accumulation. This is specific to Kalamazoo, but without getting too specific, I would just kind of use this as a general estimate for West Michigan. Now, generally speaking, this is lake effect, right? So hopefully if you've lived here long enough, like Battle Creek, for example, it's less likely you see as much of an impact versus, say, Allegan or Lawrence or Hartford or Bangor. Some of those like traditional snowbelt regions, even Pawpaw. Those are some areas I think that will be, seeing the accumulation versus, say, a Marshall or a Battle Creek or even like a Hastings. And we'll show that here in just a second. But I don't want you to take this as gospel just yet. This is going to change, but this just gives us an early kind of estimate on snow. The other thing that I think is really valuable here in this graphic is it does show that time frame that I was talking about. Notice how this line stays pretty flat until late Wednesday into Thursday. That's where we start to see the accumulation take place. And each one of these lines is an inch, right? So this might look dramatic or different, but we're talking only about an inch and a half difference here in potential accumulations with GFS. And keep in mind, that's like a 36-hour time frame that we're building that snow from late Wednesday into the early part of Friday. Notice how it pretty much levels out on Friday in both scenarios. We might see like a brief, essentially flurry or two on Friday, but the bulk of this accumulation takes place late Wednesday and throughout the day on Thursday, kind of intermittently, as is often the case with lake effect. So the fact that we're going to have like 2 to 3 inches potentially, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, but the fact that that's coming over like the course of a 36-hour period, that's really not that bad, just so we're all on the same page. Like we're talking probably minor to moderate impacts. I don't expect this as of now. Now, this could always change, but as of now, I don't see the telltale signs of like an epic, like, oh my gosh, even compared to what we saw a few weeks ago with the lake effect. I don't even think this will be that strong. It's just going to last kind of intermittently throughout much of the day on Thursday. And it will kind of set the mood perhaps for some of our Thanksgiving feasts. But this is not an accumulation forecast. I want to make that very clear. But this is kind of like my early heads up to you. If you're in that lighter blue, I would expect at the very least some maybe minor travel impacts during the day on Thanksgiving especially. But we're talking late Wednesday through early Friday. If you're in that area of darker blue, I'm calling it like moderate impacts. So what I mean by that is you might have some slowdowns. It's certainly not going to be like impossible to drive or anything like that. But it's just, one of those lighter snow events where we might have some briefly snow-coated roads, some slushy roadways, things like that. Now, that is to say on some of our made highways, being it a holiday, might have some slowdowns in that area of darker blue, but I don't expect whiteouts or a traffic shutdown or anything like that, like we would in maybe a high-end lake effect event. This doesn't really look to be that, which we are okay with. So I'm not trying to hype it up. There's a lot of things going around on social media, which are very exhausting as a meteorologist, I will say. But the world we live in, y'all, I'll have to say, I'll give you the abbreviated version of my TED Talk, but there's a lot of pages out there and just social media in general, man. Everyone is just trying for that engagement. They're trying to get the shares, the likes, because fun fact, Facebook monetizes engagement for a lot of pages. So you could be some armchair guy in your basement that doesn't really know that much about meteorology. And I'm not saying this about all pages that like share weather information. There's a lot of really great ones out there, but there are some that I see like circulating on social media that are just not great. So just think before you share and just realize, like, if you're reading something, I love this from a meteorologist out in the Flint area. He said, if it reads like a spam email, then probably it's not to be trusted. If there's a lot of like fear mongering or stuff like that, then it's probably just it's probably a post that's just trying to scare you into shares, which don't do that. But anyways, Thanksgiving, it's going to be cold, but this is nothing that crazy. There are many years that we see our first big winter storms right around Thanksgiving, I feel like, and that's not even what this is going to be. Now, that being said, I do think we'll have to watch a time frame after Thanksgiving, specifically On Saturday. Saturday's looking a little interesting now. Looks like we may see a system snow. It's so early. It's too hard to say whether it's going to be a big snow or just an inch or two, to be honest. But what I would say is that the models have been coming into better agreement on the fact that we could have, at the very least, some additional accumulations on Saturday, and then maybe even into Sunday too. Sunday is a very tricky forecast, though. We'll see another kind of low pressure farther north, and where the rain snow line sets up, it could be smack dab in our area, but it's just so early. That's going to shift around quite a bit in the next few days of model data. And that system is still like way out in the Pacific Ocean. So it's just a little wave out there that's not going to be, we won't get a really great view or idea of exact specifics of that system, at least for another couple days. And we'll watch for some of that weather model data. But I digress. All right. Will it melt before the first week of December? Jesse, well, first of all, I got to remember when December starts. So December starts Monday. I think we'll have some snow on the ground. That's my gut. Between the snow, there's a fuzz. You guys probably can't see that. That was funny. Or I'm just losing my mind. No, Jesse, I think between the lake effect Wednesday night and Thursday, I think that'll put down maybe an inch or two in a few locations, maybe a little bit more. And then with the system snow Saturday. The only concern, Jesse, if we see some warmer temps on Sunday, which is a possibility, there's a chance we might even switch over to like rain on Sunday, then switch back to snow. That's why I said Sunday is a very complicated and fickle forecast right now. But I have a feeling that we're gonna have some snow on the ground. I also think at least the early part of December is looking rather active with a pretty active storm track, meaning I think we'll see multiple systems that could put down some snow in, I would say, like the first 7 to 10 days at the very least of December. So I was looking at some of the long range stuff, and it does look rather active. But again, just to emphasize, take advantage of tomorrow. We'll see a little sun in the morning, and then that'll probably be the last sun we see for a while. Kind of like the last couple of days were really lovely with how much sun we saw. We're going to say sayonara to the sun after, I would say tomorrow, late morning, early afternoon. We're going to cloud over, and then it's like a goodbye, see you, never again. No, we'll see the sun again. It's just going to be a little bit. Rain on Tuesday is mostly in the morning. Rain switching to snow quickly with crashing temperatures on Wednesday. So that 39 is a little bit misleading. I think by the afternoon, we'll be in the middle 30s, probably feeling much colder. And again, Wednesday is that really windy day too, with some gusts over 40 to 45. Thursday, lake effect with a few inches possible, mainly in our lake effect snow belt regions. We're talking like Allegan, Van Buren County, portions of Ottawa, but especially Van Buren, Allegan. I would say the westernmost Kalamazoo County out towards, say, the Mattawan area, Texas Township, might end up maybe the cutoff, but we'll know more in the next few days. But that would include 94 out towards, say, like Lawrence, including Pawpaw. I just think of some of the main highway routes for holiday travel. So if you have people coming in from Chicago area or like down closer to Benton Harbor, for example, on Thursday proper, they might have some slowdowns. Even late Wednesday night might have some slowdowns. Might just get a little dicey at times, but I don't think it's going to be, like I said, shutting down highways or anything like that. Friday, I think the snow is pretty much a non-story. It's just maybe a lingering snow shower in the morning. And then Saturday is another day we got to watch for maybe a little bit more widespread accumulation. And that one would be a system snow, not lake effect. And I think that's it. I think I've hit it as best as I can. And I'm sorry if you're looking for that snowfall forecast. We're not really going to necessarily go there just yet because it's just too early. And I could show you model data out 300 hours, and it would look cataclysmic. Y'all would be like, oh my gosh, we're going to get all that snow. And we are going to get more snow in the next few weeks. I know, shocking, right? But that's not all that helpful because it's kind of going to change. And anyways, but I think, like I said, more active the next couple of weeks as far as the snow. I would say the pattern is definitely changing to be a little bit more conducive to cold and snow the next couple of weeks for sure. I'm hoping, David, it's not the last sun until next year, but you never know, man. I feel like this time of year is just so cloudy. Usually that early, like late fall, early winter, that's lake effect season, and it's not only for snow but also for the clouds. And then once the lakes cool down a little bit, you don't get quite as much lake effect influence later in the season. But yeah, this time of year can be brutal, especially I would say like December / into early January, and then things start to sometimes brighten up. Ben likes the sound of snow. I like that, Ben. Deb, what about Decatur? Decatur, I could see not seeing quite as much, Deb, but we'll just have to wait and see how it all plays out later this week. We'll have more specifics, but like I said, some lake effect is primarily Van Buren, portions of Allegan counties, and that's on Thursday. And then the system snow would be later in the week. So anyways, that would be on Saturday. But I'm going to wrap this up because I got to go crank out a few graphics before the 10 and 11, my other job. And by the way, Friday, this is a shameless plug. Friday this week is the tree lighting in downtown Kalamazoo at Bronson Park, Friday evening. And yours truly will be there, and I'll be emceeing it, I think. I'm just going to be introducing some of the acts and the folks. So come out, say hey, we'll light a Christmas tree, and it's going to be lit, pun intended. All right. Bye, everybody. Take care. And I won't be back until next Saturday, by the way. So I'll try and share some of Jeff, Colin, and Keith's posts throughout the week. But hey, when I'm not at work, unless there is a huge severe weather event, I'll probably be posting some updates, not going to lie, but I am not as plugged in as I am when I'm working because I'm not working. And also I have a 2-week-old at home that's keeping us very busy. Actually, he's the easy one. It's our 1.5 and 3-year-old that are keeping us very busy, but I digress. All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening to me ramble, and take care.